quick session. I'm going to talk about three things. And this is, I do think that this session, developers are usually my primary target audience. So I try to make sure that the contents that we present here are content that would be useful to developers who are trying to build on Collab.Land or generally just want to get a good idea and a better understanding of the developer products that we offer. So today I want to talk about the Collab.Land API Explorer to just show you some of the APIs that we have. And then I'm going to talk about the API scopes to kind of also give a little bit of an insider view into some of the scopes that we have available and how you can request for API keys and the process of issuing that out to you. Disclaimer that some of these processes that we're going to talk about today is what is currently obtainable, right? Collab.Land is rapidly evolving. We're building new tools, we're building new products, we're building new services every week. So if you're going to watch this sometime in the future, or if you're watching this via Twitter or YouTube or wherever, most of the things that we're going to talk about today are things that are currently obtainable at Collab.Land as of today. That might not be the case in the next couple of weeks or in the next few months. After that, then I put out a form in the dev general channel here on Discord to basically get responses from developers on what questions they have about Collab.Land APIs or our scopes or our keys and how to use our API keys. So I've been getting responses on the form. So thank you if you have answered, if you have asked a question via the form. I've collated some of the responses into the slide deck to just serve as an AMA session so that we can all see the questions and also see the answers that we provide. But diving in, I will just get started with API Explorer. This is a collection of Collab.Land APIs with automatic updates as our product improvements are added. So it's, I think I can open it via this link. Maybe I can zoom out. Yeah. So this is our API Explorer. It's basically, it's public. You can access it at api.collab.land/explorer. And that would give you a collection of different APIs that we have or that we offer here at Collab.Land. Some of them we use internally, some of them are just basically making them available for developers like yourself to take advantage of and build products, build tools on top of Collab.Land. Now, we have a lot of different collections. I don't think we can cover each and every one of them today. But what I would like to do is to just spend a couple of minutes showing you how some of them works. And I will start with the account controller. Yeah. So this is the one that I think I probably, okay, I have worked with most of them, but I've mostly worked with the check roles, which is the ones that kind of I think a lot more developers use now because that is the endpoint where we used to control our token getting functionalities. But other than that, I think we've talked about that and showed how to use that in a couple of DevRel office hours now. So I would just leave access control and look at the account controller. This is the one that the recent demo that I built has been based off of this. So a practical use case for this would be if you're building a website or an app or whatever project you're working on, and you would like to fetch the communities that your user belongs to, or maybe just yourself, you want to fetch the communities that you are a part of, that is what the endpoint would help you with. And I've got Postman open here so that I can try out some of these endpoints and just show you how they work. So here I've got the first one, which is the account/administrated communities, which would show you the communities that you're an admin in, right? Basically, the communities that you own or that you're just you have the admin role. And if I make that API call, I should be getting all of these communities back. So the data you will get back will just be like an array that contains different objects that represent the different communities where you are an admin. And that is a little bit different from the communities with this one. Where is it? This one, account/communities. It's one of the questions that I got in the AMA responses that I put out earlier today. Someone was asking what are the difference. Maybe when we get to that question, we can answer it in more detail. But right now, it's a little different. And yeah, maybe when we get to that one, we'll just talk about it. But yes, you can also do the account/me endpoint to get the details about your own account or the account of whoever it is that is signing into your website or who is you want to get their details. So I'm Kenny. You can see my discriminator. You can see my name. The platform is Discord. Basically, just gives you information about yourself or whoever the user that you have the access token for is. You get the details back for that user. I I don't know if there's any other endpoint here that is worth showing. I can show you the auth message and the auth token. It's just basically going to give you the access token that I'm using for this demo. So I can do auth token. Expire in the next couple of seconds. So you can spam me with it. You can really do anything to me with it. Also, this is just happening. This demo is happening on the Keyway environment. So I think it's safe to just show you all of those demos. So these endpoints are working as expected. And if you click into any of them, you should see more details about what if any parameters are required or what the responses would look like. I think developers generally are familiar with this environment. So I don't want to spend so much time showing you how that works. But yeah, this is the account controller. Before I move on, I think probably it would be nice to show you the community controller. These other ones, I will skip them for now, and we can talk about that later if you want. But yeah, so this community controller, we have the /communities endpoint, which would pull out all, so far in my experience, that has been the heaviest endpoint that I've had to work with. Like if you look at this, this is just this completed in about 400 milliseconds, right? But if we do communities, you would fetch all the communities that you're a part of across multiple platforms, like Telegram, Discord, wherever. It will take a while because the data that it returns is a lot. And let me just be sure that I'm calling it right, /communities. All right, so this will take a couple of seconds, so bear with me while we wait for that to happen. All right, looks like we've got the data back. So this will show you all of the communities that you're part of. And you see the time it took, so almost 21 seconds, right? And the data is almost 200 kilobytes worth of data. So it's a lot because it pulls every single community that you're a part of across different platforms. It's a lot. But if you ever need that, we have the options for you to paginate that. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, so you can pass some parameters to help with pagination. So if you wanted to fetch just one community, or if you want to fetch one page, or you want to fetch communities that has a couple of values. So that way you don't have to spend all of that time that I just spent waiting for the API call to complete because it's a lot. So ideally, if you're going to work with that endpoint, you would have some parameters that you can use to basically paginate that call so that you fetch maybe one page or two pages, or you can filter with some limits. You just want to get maybe two communities back or 10 communities back. Whatever the preferences are for you, it's all supported. Another question that I got on the AMA is community ID and okay, like the IDs that we see here. This one, I think, and then somewhere we also ask you for the community ID if you want to fetch the TTRs that are available on a particular community, which we'll talk about that when we get there. But generally, Explorer, right? You can dig through all of these different collections, and and this is something that we very often ask people to do. We ask developers to do when they request for API keys is we would want to know if you've had the opportunity to maybe go through the Explorer and see if the use case you want to build for, if the APIs currently exist here. 90% of the time, it will already exist here, and you just tell us, okay, I am looking to use the community wallet controller, for instance, or the community controller or the account controller. And then that would help us scope out the API key that we want to give you to make sure you have access to the appropriate resources. Um, so if you're seeing this for the first time, it's at api.collab.land/explorer, and you can look through it so that if you have any ideas or you want to build any projects, you'll be able to see if the API that you need for that project currently exists. If it doesn't, then you can put that in the form and we will provision that for you. If you have any questions so far, put it in the chat. I think that will probably be the most visible place for us to look at it because I won't be looking at the AMA form from now going forward. So if you have any questions so far, put it in the chat and we will get to it at the end. This is the API Explorer. If you have any questions on how anything works here, just let me know. I also want to mention that this updates as we build internally. So if we deploy any changes today, or if we deploy new endpoints, this document gets updated automatically. So it will always be up to date. So whatever you see here is what we have available on at Collab.Land. And then I want to talk about our API scopes. This is also a work that we have in progress. It's available on api.keyway.collab.land/scopes. I'm sharing this because I want to bring developers' attention to it because work is currently ongoing here and we haven't fleshed this out completely the way we want it to be yet. But eventually, when we flesh out our API products, we're going to categorize the scopes. It's currently grouped according to different buckets. So right now we've got an account bucket, we've got a community one, we've got a Discord integration scope, and just it's endless. It's a lot. Let me scroll a little bit to give you an idea just how long it is. It's a lot of data, right? And what we want to do when we have the API product ready is scope out all the access points to make sure that we categorize the right resources inside the right buckets so that way we can model it properly, we can price it properly, we can manage access to it properly. But for now, let's say that you are building a project and you need access to the community scope, for instance, right? You'll be able to read a community, you will be able to write to the community, you'll be able to create new communities, you'll be able to update, patch an existing community and delete communities. What would happen is during your API request form, you will be able to then tell us that you would need access to the community scope. And when we provision the API key for you, we will be able to then give you access to that scope. We have also for account, I will show you some of this. Actually, this is available on this endpoint. Maybe someone can put it in the chat for anyone who wants to go through it. But it's api.qa.collab.land/scopes, and you can go through it and see all of the scopes that we have. And if any of them are confusing, you can always circle back to the API Explorer to see that the controller that we have match what we have on the scopes. And then I don't expect there to be much questions about this. I think it's pretty straightforward. So I will just move on to the API key issuance process. But if any of the scopes is confusing, or if you have any questions, once again, just put it in the chat, and I will get to it toward the end. Um, so I'll go ahead and talk about the API key issuance process. Right now, our APIs are available for everyone to see on the API Explorer, but you would need access to them to be able to use them in your project, right? And the way that you get access is by filling out this form. This is what we do currently, but maybe this is a good opportunity to mention again that we are working on a dev portal, which would which would give you access. It will be kind of like a developer dashboard where you can, manage your keys, request keys, generate new keys, apply for if you want to build a mini app, you can request all of that. You can manage all the things that are pertinent to a developer right from that one platform. So that is what to expect. So probably if you're watching this video in the next 2 months, this would no longer be the case. You would just have another session where we tell you how to access the dev portal and how to sign up and what you need to do to get a key. But for today, and what we have obtainable right now, which is what developers are doing if they want to build with Collab.Land right now, is you would probably go through the documentation, see how to work with Collab.Land, and eventually when you're ready to start working with Collab.Land or you want to start building your project, then you're going to click this button here that says request API request form, and that will pull up the form. And what we need from you is some details about who you are, what Discord server you're going to be bidding for, what's the details about your project, describe the project, give us some kind of understanding of what the project is. If the project is live, you can give us a link to it so we can check it out. Then you can let us know if you're going to be calling our APIs from the front end, from the back end, or from both. Excuse me. If the API calls are going to be coming from the front end, then you give us some domains and URLs for us to whitelist, because that way we can make sure that your callbacks are succeeding and they are not failing and you have the right access. If there are other API use cases you have or you want, then this is your opportunity to also tell us what those use cases are. The point of doing all of that is so that we can give you access to the right scopes that would let you build out the functionality that you want to build. And then this is what I was talking about. So often we ask if the desired APIs are available on the Explorer. So ideally at that point, what you would do is you would come here, try to scan through this. If you're looking for TGRs specifically, you can try to search, or you can try to filter by tags. You can try to maybe do Command F, TGR, and that would show you where the TGR endpoint is. Or if you're looking for anything else specifically based on your use case, you can search through this Explorer and you would know if that endpoint that you want to work with currently exists. If it doesn't, then you will let us know via the form that, hey, it does not exist, or if you have any other feedback, you can provide that for us. And then you let us know what the expected API request rates are. At this point, we don't really expect you to have the definite answer or to know for sure what that would look like, because sometimes when you're filling this form, you don't have fully formed ideas on how the product would work or how the project would work or how many API requests you might make, because you probably don't have an idea of how much users you would have and all of that. But we need to know the range for at the very least. Would it be 5 requests per second? What would you like to start with, right? So that we can provision the right resources for you. And then when you've done that, we then encourage you to let us know inside of the Collab.Land Discord Dev General channel. Once you let us know, we would go ahead and get it for and provision the API key for you. Usually, we have Thursdays for this. So we go through all the form responses. We approve the ones that look okay. If we need to get back to some of the responses with emails to say, hey, we received your request for an API key, but we need more information about XYZ places. And then we would go back and forth a little bit until we are both confident that your project is okay with our policies, and then we would issue you a key. If you wanted to expedite that, one way to do that is to message us on the Dev General channel on Discord. And then if we have the bandwidth, we can go out of our way to generate that key for you that same day or the next day, depending on the level of urgency. So this is typically how our API key issuance process works. Is when you fill this form, you will let us know on Discord, and we'll let you know, okay, we'll get back to you. And then on Thursday, we have an internal review session where we go through the responses and figure out the ones that we can issue for that day. Once we can do that, then we will take the email that you've provided in the form right here. We will take that email and we will get back to you, either sending you the API key that you requested for with the allowed scopes, or we let you know that we need more information, or we let you know that what you're trying to build, we currently don't support it, right? All right. So I think I've gone across the API scopes, I've gone across the issuing process, and I've gone across the Explorer. So I will just go ahead and attend to some of the AMAs that I received in response to this session. And one of the questions are all Collab.Land APIs public? I would say yes. Since you can see it on the Explorer, I think it's pretty public, but access to them are not all public, right? Access to them will be requested for. You ask for them, and then we issue it for you. We issue it to you. But physically public that you can see it, it's all available here. Literally all the APIs, even the ones that we use internally in our internal tools, they are all available here. But if you need to use any of these endpoints, you would need to have like an API key, and that's what would give you access to them. All right. If you're the one that asked this question and you're here on the call, let me know if you need me to clarify on that a little bit more. I'll put it in the chat, but yeah, we have it available on the Explorer, but you do need API keys to access them. Second question, what's the difference between the ID and the community ID in the community controller section? I think I mentioned this while I was going through that section. We have, let me look at that. We've got the community controller right here. And I think from my understanding of the question is sometimes you see community/ID, like in this case, or you see community/ID/ something else like TPCs. Other times you see communities/community ID, right? Okay, I think the best way to explain this is the community ID. Just the ID alone is Collab.Land's identity for each of the communities that you belong to or that you're a part of. We have unique identifiers for each of those communities. So it's Collab.Land's way of identifying the individual communities. And then the community ID, as in this case, this one, is the community ID we're talking about here is probably the guild ID or the Discord ID for that community, or the Telegram ID for that community, or this particular one is not for Collab.Land to use and identify the community. It's the platform ID for that community. I hope that is clear. One thing I wanted to do is let me do the administrated communities again. And maybe that would, okay, let's see if my token is still valid, then I should be able to get that. Okay, Um, so I see that I've got all my administrated communities. So this is the community ID, line 47 here, is what I wanted to talk about. So this is my understanding of this person's question. You're trying to find out the difference between this ID in line 47 and I think probably this one in line 58. So that's what I understand by that. And if that is still confusing or if you don't understand it, so one is community is Collab.Land specific identity for that community. The other one is the platform that the community belongs to. If that is not clear, point out the confusion in the questions in the chat and I will attend to it. If I'm not still getting it right, I'm happy to bring in Raymond or anyone else from Collab.Land to clarify again for you. All right, I'm moving on to the third question that we got. What is the difference between administrated communities and communities? Yeah, I think I answered that while I was doing the demo. The administrated communities are the communities where you are the admin, right? And then communities only is the communities that you belong to. And you might notice that this is all in front of the account controller. So if I remove account here and do this, then this fetches all the communities that you are in, both on Telegram and Discord and wherever else. But communities would show the ones that you're a part of. Administrated would show the ones that you're an admin in. So that's the difference between those two. And this is not very clear, so I was confused about this as well myself, because I didn't understand the word administrated. I didn't, I mean, it could have just been admin or something else. I don't know. Yeah, but I can understand the confusion there. Took me a while to figure that out myself. All right, moving on. How long does it take to get an API key? I would say typically it would take 1 week, depending on the time that you applied for it. Well, one thing I try to do is to make sure that every Thursday we have, I spend some time going through the responses and issuing out keys to developers who have asked for it. The ideal process is if, for instance, you fill that form on a Monday, then you probably get a key the following in 4 days, which is on Thursday or Friday. So it would take typically 4 to 5 days, just to give us some time to review your response, go through it, email you back if we have any further questions, or just to generate the key and issue and send it back to you. And we don't send the keys via email. We'll create a one password vault and send access to that vault to your email. So that way you can have, we can just put some security measures in place in sharing the keys with you so that you alone and only your email address that you use to apply would get access to that key. Just a security measure we're putting in place to make sure that we safeguard access to your projects. All right, I'm going to move on to the fifth response is, do I need to have a live project before applying for a key? This is something that I mentioned when we got to that point where you are filling the API access form. I think this part of the form is what's making this person ask this question, is because we ask URL link to your project and it's a required field. Now, you don't need to have a live project. Half the time when developers are asking for API keys, they haven't started building yet, right? That's most likely they just have an idea they want to try out. So we don't necessarily expect you to have the project deployed, but we expect you to have an idea of what you're trying to build, of what you want to build, right? In a case where you're just iterating or trying out your idea and you want to apply for the key, you can give us a link to your website or a link to your I don't know, any online presence that you have that we can link to. Because also when we generate your key, this field is also required in the CLI. So we need to have some kind of URL that we can attribute to your application. So if your project is not deployed yet, it's not a live project, you have not started using it in production yet, that is totally fine. We understand that, and we would issue you keys regardless of if your project has been deployed or if you're just ideating and trying to build out your idea. So I think that's a very good question. I've been looking for an opportunity to call that out, and this provides that for me. So thank you for that question. All right, I'm going to move on to, I think we're probably at the end of the questions. Let's see. All APIs on the Explorer open for public consumption? Okay, I think we've answered this one before, but we do have all of the APIs that we have at Collab.Land available on the Explorer, but they are not all open for public consumption. Like I mentioned before, some of the APIs you will find here are the ones that we're using internally at Collab.Land to build our internal tools. An example of that is, let me see, we've got the Miniapp controller, we've got, I think we've got even, yeah, like this dev request controller. We're using that one specifically for the Collab.Land dev portal. We've got a couple of like guest pass as well. This is also a good example of, this is not for public consumption. This is just for Collab.Land internal tools. So usually you just scan around, try to find the one that you want, and let us know if it's in the Explorer. If it's not in the Explorer, then we would let you know if we can provision that for you. But yes, all the APIs are available on the Explorer, but not all of them are available to the public to access. Okay, last one, I think. What are the necessary first steps for building with Collab.Land APIs? I would say the documentation would be a practical first step. So come to dev.collab.land and then go to the documentation section, scroll around, scan around, try to search for whatever you want to do or what you're looking for. Try to get a good idea on some of the concepts that we have, how to build a collab action if you're trying to build a mini app, or if you're just trying to use Collab.Land APIs, you can see how to authenticate, how to do token gating, how to do rate limiting. If you want to use the Collab.Land SDK, just look through how the implementation details are, and then you can decide to say, oh, then now I want to build, right? How do I get an API key? And you then go to this form and request for an API key. So I would think that to be the practical first step. Another thing in that process, depending on what you want to build, is you might also want to talk to us at the Collab.Land team, either on the Dev General channel on Discord, or reach out via Twitter or wherever else that you can get access to any of the Collab.Land team members, and just talk us through your idea. We even have like a mini app ideas thread on Discord that you can check out to see if what you want to build is already in existence or if someone else is already building it. So you can just join them as opposed to rolling your own. So you can talk to us, try to validate your ideas with us. We can let you know if this is good, if this is not good. Either way, it's totally up to you. You can go ahead and request for the API keys either way, and we will review and get back to you. All right, I think that's the last question. Okay, there's one more. What scopes are publicly accessible and free? Yeah, okay. So this is the API product is a work in progress, right? So we haven't monetized the scopes yet. What we do though is when you ask for an API key and you specify the scopes that you need, then we will let you know if we can give you those access to those scopes or not. Maybe in 1 month, all the API scopes will be modeled properly, and I will be able to answer this question definitively. But right now, I can't give a very direct answer to it because we haven't modeled the API scopes that way. The one that I know though that is accessible right now is the communities scope. So you can fetch communities right now. If you try to hit that endpoint, you will likely get the user communities and the communities they belong to, and all the information that you want from the community controller. But other than that, we will just have to finish the work that is going on the API scopes internally before we would know what scopes we are going to make publicly available to everyone for free, and the ones that we are going to ask you to pay for. Right now, we haven't finished that part of the process. So I'm going to hold on to this question and come back to it another time when we have that model figured out. All right. I think this is all the AMA questions that I got for today. I'm just going to quickly look through the chat and see if there's any question there. If not, I will hand it over to Chibi. And thank you, Abhishek, for sharing all the links in the chat. I see that. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. So before I hand it over back to Chibi, I just want to do a quick recap. Today we've talked about the Collab.Land API Explorer to give you a good understanding of what kind of APIs we have here at Collab.Land, the ones that you can use, where you can find the Explorer, and how to navigate through that list of APIs to find the particular ones that you need. I've also shown you the API scopes that we have available at Collab.Land and where to find it. If you need any more information about any of the things that we've talked about today, the Dev General channel is where to come ask us, and we will provide you with whatever answers you need. This is a huge list of scopes, so I did not even try to go through all of them. But we talked about the account scope and the community scope to kind of like give you a good understanding of how that works. And after the scopes, then we went through the key issuance process to talk you through how to apply for API keys, how to go through the documentation, try to find the things that you want to build, and try to get ideas for what you want to do with the API key. If you've done all of that and you've gotten your keys from Collab.Land, then you go ahead and start building your ideas out. Then we went through some of the questions that we got in AMA form. Actually, I think let me just quickly take a look and see if I got any new responses before I hand it off. Okay, I think I got all the questions. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to hand it over to Chibi to share the POAPs. Chibi, over to you now.
Sounds good to me. I'm just sharing some kudos with members in the audience because we're always super thankful to have you guys here. So I've been doing that throughout this session.
Hey, I saw that Anjali gave me kudos. Thank you, Anjali. Appreciate it.
I love kudos. I think they're awesome, and it's such a nice feeling to receive one too. Like it warms my heart. So thanks to everyone who sent their kudos. It's just really nice.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Right. Yeah. I think. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say if anyone's trying to use any of the Collab.Land APIs and you run into any kind of issues, Chibi, I will leave it up to you to talk through how to get the role that gives people access to the Dev General channel. But if you're trying to use any of our endpoints and you run into issues, we provide technical support there as well. Usually, I know Abhishek is on the call. He would ask you to open a ticket, and which is the right thing to do. That's probably the proper channel. But if you're on the edge and you need help, I also am available on that Dev General channel. to kind of like provide on the spot kind of assistance when I'm online there to use. So that is one other place that I would want you as a developer to try and be active in, because we talk a lot of technical things there. We try to solve and ideate and share ideas with members in that group. So if you're looking for ideas or you just want to join a group of engineers who are also building cool things with Collab.Land, please join us in that channel as well. And Chibi will tell you how.
Absolutely. I'm writing it in the chat so that people can follow along and find it later on too. But in order to get your role, all you need to do is to go to the Get Roles channel. You will scroll up a little bit to the second message and you will see that there's, I think, three options for you to select from. And you will react with the mechanical arm that's in the reactions. And once you do that, the will be assigned to you. I will also send it in the chat. So you go to get roles and self-select the builder role. That's in the second message. Once you get that, you will get access to the builder category that we have in the Discord, and that has the dev general channel. So yeah, as Kenny mentioned, always feel free to bring your questions. You can post them in that channel and Kenny will make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And now I
Yes.
think, yes, Kenny?
Yeah, thank you, Chibi. I was just saying plus one to what you said. Yeah, we will happily help anyone who comes to the channel.
Yes, and that's so nice of you. So thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
And now I think it's a great time to distribute our POAP. So, for everyone in the audience, if you would like to claim today's POAP, you will be doing this using the POAP Miniapp. It's all done within Discord and it's a very easy, quick process. So, what we will do to claim the POAP, you will use slash. We can write it in any of the chats of the server. If you are in the state chat, you can use that one. And you write slash POAP claim. So it's a slash command POAP claim. And you will see a little square asking for your claim phrase. And the claim phrase is API access, all lowercase with no spaces in between. Again, that's API access. So again, it's all lowercase and with no spaces in between. You write it down. I haven't claimed mine yet, so I'll do that with you guys too. API access, then you hit send and you should receive your code to claim the POAP. Please let us know if it worked for you guys. Yay! I see that people are claiming successfully. I also got mine. I love the POAP Miniapp. I think these are my two favorites so far. I always say it, but it's so easy.
Yeah, I claimed mine.
Awesome.
Yeah, and let me just I say this thing every DevRel office hour. I say it because it's I don't know, it's since Chibi told me about it, claiming POAPs has just been such a breeze for me. They have a Mac OS POAP app that you can use to claim POAPs. So all you do is you do slash POAP claim, you put in the seed phrase, and then you click on the link, and then it happens like magic. Yeah, I see somebody uses it too. Um, everyone, all should use it. It's such a breeze to claim POAPs.
I appreciate that comment, and I do the same and agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's super easy. Just 2 clicks away.
yeah. I didn't know they had a macOS app. It's so small. It's kind of like a phone. It just shows up and makes your
Yeah.
app for you. Amazing.
Agreed, agreed. Just like the mobile. Yeah, yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
But I like it that it's all
Yeah.
in your desktop, so you don't have to switch devices or anything. Just
Yep.
all at the same place. Hmm. Right. I think that everyone claimed successfully, but just in case, let's repeat the secret phrase once more, just in case that anyone is having any issues or didn't hear the claim phrase. So, one more time, the secret phrase to claim today's POAP is API access, lowercase, and no spaces in between. And in order to claim it, you can, well, you have to use the POAP Miniapp. So that's with the slash command slash POAP claim, and then you enter the secret phrase. That again is API access. I'm reading Anjali's comment. No ascending number game. Absolutely. Yes. Best part.
I know.
Like
Yeah,
I got
I love that part.
me too. Like I got used to it from playing so many times, but it's just you have to pay attention to it. You need to get into the game, and that's distracting. Like if you're in a call, you want to pay attention to the call. So having to now pay attention to the game, it's just I can't multitask like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. The first time I tried to claim a POAP that way, I was on a Twitter Spaces.
Mhm.
I was supposed to be talking and claiming the POAP, and I failed on both. It didn't work. It was too much multitasking for my brain.
That's so funny. And I feel like that happens to a lot of people because I've been in Twitter spaces too. And right after the secret phrase is shared with the members, then they usually ask a question afterwards and everyone's just silent. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to think. We understand.
Yeah,
It
yeah, because
happens.
it's maths, right? Like you have to be adding the numbers and trying to find the right values, and you're supposed to be paying attention to the question as well.
Yes,
Ah,
it's a lot of
nah,
work. Agreed. But yeah, we don't have that problem with the POAP mini app, thankfully. So that's
no, we
refreshing.
don't.
Oh, boy. All right. I
All
think
right.
that.
Chidi, I think that's probably it. Let me just quickly say thank you again to everyone that joined us today. This happens every 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to have our CTO have the same office hours. So if you want to get into the technical details of how things work at Collab.Land, please join us again next week. Otherwise, I'll be back in 2 weeks to have another session with all of you. And please just let me know via any channels if you need help with anything Collab.Land related, and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, back to you.
Thank you so much, Kenny. This has been a fantastic session as usual. And yeah, I saw a comment from Anjali that I wanted to mention too, because there's also people watching on Twitter and YouTube. So thank you to that audience as well. We really appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you, Kenny, again. This has been great. And thanks everyone in the audience. We will see you next time.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.